As I mentioned in the last movie, InDesign protects your master page items when you're on a document page. You can't move them, you can't delete them, you can't even select them. Here, I'll show you what I mean. Let me go to page 4. Command-J or Control-J on Windows, 4, OK. And now I can see that there are several items here that I'm trying to get rid of. Let me zoom in and I'll show you what I mean. When I can see this text frame and this text frame on my document page, these frames are actually on some master page, and I know that because the edges around the borders are dotted. It's a little bit hard to see the dotted line around this black frame, but believe me, it's there. I want these master page items up here where the page number is going to go, but I don't want these items here on this particular spread. But when I click on them, I find that I can't select them to delete them. They're master page items. There's a trick, and the trick is to use two modifier keys, Command-Shift on Mac or Control-Shift on Windows. And when I Command-Shift click on them, it actually lets me select them. What this is doing is overriding the master page item. It's actually taking it off the master page and placing it on the document page for me to do something with, like delete it. I'll do the same to this one. Command-Shift or Control-Shift click on it, takes it off the master page and puts it on the document page. Now I can move it, I could delete it, I could change its color, change the text in here. I'll go get the type tool and click in here and do a Command-A or Control-A on Windows for select all the text, and I can type some text here, whatever you want. In this case, I actually want it gone, so I'm going to use the selection tool to select the object and then hit the delete key to delete it. So that's overriding master page items. If you have a lot of master page items and you don't want to Command-Shift click or Control-Shift click on every single one of them, well, that's okay. There's a feature for you in the Pages panel flyout menu. Override all master page items. This does just what it says it does. It overrides all the master page items on the entire spread. It's as though you Command-Shift or Control-Shift clicked on each and every one of them. I'm not going to do that yet. I want to point out one other thing that's interesting here. Let's say I Command-Shift or Control-Shift click on this object, and I move it over here, and I made it bigger, and I did whatever I wanted to do with it. And then I realized, oh, I didn't need to do that. That was a mistake. I better put it back to where it was. Well, the good news is, also in the Pages panel flyout menu here, there is an option to remove the selected local overrides. And when I choose that, it takes off all those local overrides and it puts it back to where it was, and it becomes a master page item again. Now in the case of this page number, I happen to know that I never want anyone to override this. I just don't want to let them do it. So I'm going to go to my master page. I'm going to select both of these objects by dragging a little marquee over them with the selection tool, and now I'll go to the Pages panel flyout menu, and I'm going to turn off Allow Master Item Overrides on selection. That means no matter how much I try, even if I use those modifier keys, I will not be able to override those. That's a new feature in CS3, and it's sort of a safeguard, a super safeguard, to make sure that certain page items do not get changed, do not get deleted. When it comes to building structured documents such as books and magazines, master pages are a necessity for an efficient workflow, and controlling every single master page item is key in making sure the final document ends up just the way you wanted it. Catalogs, magazines, and books often have different sections that look similar but aren't exactly the same. Now that's easy to manage with multiple master pages, but if you have 10 different master pages and you need to make a global change, you might think you need to make a change 10 different times. Not so if you've set up your master pages using the Based On feature. I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to go to the Pages panel, and I can see that there's currently only one master page here. But if I look at my second spread, I want this master page to be slightly different than the others. Let's say I want to remove this header up here and change the color. It'll be similar to the original master page, but it won't be exactly the same. To do this, I'm going to choose from the Pages panel menu, New Master, and I'll create a master page B. You can call it anything you want, really, but I'm going to base it on Master A. I'll click OK, and you'll see that now I've got master page B, and you see the little A in the thumbnails here? That means that this is based on master page A. And when we look in our document window, we're looking at master page B, but it looks just like master page A. So I'm going to make a few changes to it. First, I'll close the Pages panel just so we can see the whole spread. And now I'm going to get rid of these items. I'll try click on them to delete them, but I can't. Why? Because they're on master page A. So I need to override them like I talked about in the last movie. To override these, I'm going to Command-Shift-Click on the Mac or Control-Shift-Click on Windows, and that lets me select them. Now I can delete them. So that's the first change I'm going to make. The second change I'm going to make is to change the color. First I override this color, then I go to my Swatches panel and make the change. I'm going to fill, so I click on the fill icon with a different color. Let's say red. I'll do the same thing to this one. Override it, and then fill with red. Now I'll close the Swatches panel, open the Pages panel, and go back to that same page. This spread is still based on master page A. I need to select both of these pages by clicking on the numbers below them, and then I'm going to apply master page B to them. I'll simply click and drag, and click and drag. Now what happened here? The color changed, but these items were not removed. Why? Because earlier, when this page was laid out, these frames were already overwritten. And you can see that beneath that, there's no master page item in there. You can see that it would be easy for me to make 10 different master pages all based on master page A. Now the thing is, there's still a relationship between master page B and master page A. If I go back to master page A, by double-clicking on it, I could make some changes. For example, I'll go ahead and move this over to the other side of the page. Now when I go back to that spread, I can see that there was a relationship. Even though this is based on master page B, it picked up the change that I made on master page A. This relationship between master pages, the rippling down effect, so that if I make a change in one place, it changes in many other places, is a very powerful tool. And let me be honest, I want to do as little work as I can when laying out a job. Using one master page based on another takes a little bit of work when I first create my file, but it saves so much work downstream when those inevitable changes need to be made that I come out a winner in the end. Okay, so you've built all your master pages, you've made them beautiful, now you start a new document and you need all those same master pages. Is it time to start all over again? No. InDesign CS3 now lets you easily copy master pages from one document to another. Let me show you how. Here I've opened the JavaCo magazine file just like you have in your exercise files folder. I'm going to look at the Pages panel and I can see that master page A is there, just the way I designed it. Now let me go to my new document, and I can see that there's a master page A, but it's blank. You can't see anything on these thumbnails. Now it's time to load it in. I'll go to the flyout menu and choose Load Master Pages. It's going to ask me where I want to load them from, so I'll choose that JavaCo magazine from the Exercise Files folder. Click Open, and it alerts me. There's one or more master pages in here that have the same name, so what do you want to do? In this case, I don't need my blank master page A, so I'm simply going to replace it with the incoming master page. It brings in the master page, replaced the one that was there, and page 1, which was based on master page A, it brings in the master page, and page 1 of my document, which was already tagged with master page A, shows all of the master page items. This ability to load master pages from one document to another saves a huge amount of time, and it's a welcome addition to CS3. So, next chapter, we're going to start talking about text, how to add text frames to a document, fill it with text, and edit that text. While there are a few people who use InDesign for pictures only, most of us need to put text on our pages. Well, you can't have text without a text frame. But the good news is there are lots of ways to make text frames in InDesign. Let me show you a few. The first method is to use the Type tool. So I choose the Type tool in the tool panel, and I simply drag out a frame. You can't simply click on the page with the Type tool, but you have to drag out the size of the frame you want. I'm going to use the Zoom tool to zoom in on that area, just so we can see what I'm typing better. You notice that when you use the Type tool to create a frame, the cursor starts blinking immediately, so you can just start typing. Here's another way to make a frame. I'm going to scroll down by using the grabber hand, the Option spacebar trick that we talked about in an earlier movie, or Alt spacebar on Windows, and now I'm going to use the Frame tool. There are several frame tools in here, the rectangle, ellipse, and polygon frame tools. I'll just go ahead and use the rectangle frame tool. Notice that there's a big X in this frame, and that means that it's technically a graphic frame, but it's very important to know that in InDesign, any frame can be turned into any other kind of frame. It just doesn't matter. So all I do is select the Type tool, and simply click on that frame. That turns it into a text frame. Again, it was a graphic frame, now it's a text frame, doesn't really matter. We can do the same sort of thing with these frame tools. I'll choose the ellipse tool this time, and simply drag out my frame with that tool. These tools by default put a one-point black stroke around the frame. But just a frame, so I select the Type tool, click inside of it, and now I'm typing. It's as simple as that. Some people don't like the fact that when you have a graphic frame on your page and you click on it with the Type tool, it automatically turns into a text frame. So in CS3, Adobe added a little preference. So I'm going to go show you that preference. On the Mac, it's under the InDesign menu. On Windows, it's in the Edit menu. And you choose Type Preferences, and there's all of these preferences crammed in here. I'm going to turn off Type tool converts frames to text frames. When I turn that off, now my Type tool will no longer convert these into type frames. I'm clicking on it, but it doesn't do anything. Now let me show you one more way I can make a text frame in InDesign. I'm going to zoom out with the Command 0 or Control 0 so I can see the full page in my window. I want to import text from my disk, so I'm going to go to the File menu and choose Place. And I'll choose the text that I want to import. This is in the Chapter 6 folder of the exercise files you have. I click Open, and now you see attached to my cursor a little thumbnail, a little preview of what the text is going to be. With this cursor, I could click on top of a frame that's already existing. And do you notice how the cursor changed very slightly? It went from a sharp edge corner to a round edge corner around the cursor, sort of a little parentheses around there. This cursor means that it will go into that text frame. This cursor means the text will go into this frame if I click. But instead, if I click with this sort of cursor, it will create a frame for me. And in this case, I can either click and drag to make a frame and put the text in it, or, let me undo that, or simply click. It makes a frame from that point where you clicked all the way to the bottom of the page, from the left to the right margin, and flows your text into it. I'm going to be covering placing text in much more detail later in this chapter, but I just wanted to show you how this actually will make a text frame for me. Now that you know several ways to make text frames, let's take the next step, editing the text inside that frame.